Welcome guys to After Hours with Valdes and Wolf, where we discuss our predictions and thoughts about the next games on next week of SSL Premier. So we just got done with week 1. It was a great day of games that we casted, but we're going to talk about the games for next week. So starting off with Bill versus Solar, we're starting off with that ZVZ. What are you feeling about this, Wolf?
Well, it's the rematch of the semifinals, if you will, the last playoff round going into last season's grand final. Solar was able to take it last time, but it's ZVZ. It's really unpredictable. It's just a best of 3, so I think anyone could take it for sure. Yeah,
I'm feeling like it's definitely could go either way. As you mentioned, the ZVZ does make it really volatile. It could be 2-0, 2-0 for either of these players, or 2-1. If I had to give the advantage to one player, I'd probably say Solar. I feel like he looked a little bit more solid in his games today against Stats. Obviously, it was a different matchup for both of these guys. They were both facing off against Protosses, but I definitely feel like Solar, his form is just like a little bit better. And as you said, he did win that matchup the last time. Okay, so the second matchup we're going to have next week on Monday is going to be Deere versus Stats. That is going to be a PvP, another mirror matchup. And what are you thinking about that one, Wolf?
Well, it's definitely going to be Stats' favorite, I would say. Deere definitely going to be the underdog, even though he took that match against Hero, which was a bit of a surprise to a lot of fans. PvP is another mirror matchup that can be volatile, but I think Stats is the much better player in the late game of PvP. And in Legacy of the Void, the matches usually go a little bit longer. See those third bases coming out, especially with this map pool. So I think Stats might be able to take the 2-0 on that one.
Yeah, I would have to agree in terms of like players and their results, right? I mean, Stats, a previous champion over at the GSL, and as you were saying, I mean, it's almost definitely going to go into those later game stages, and I do have a little bit more faith in Stats' play in that sense. But Deere, man, I'm on the Deere hype train a little bit because I was casting challenge, obviously, with Rapid, and he was doing some crazy stuff. I mention it all the time. He was beating Hero, beating Beyond, and he looked pretty good today against Maru once again. So I think he definitely could come through with another upset. His form is looking really good nowadays.
Yeah, it's actually really exciting that we have players from Challenge that are already showing up to play really, really hard. Hero had a tough opponent in Innovation to start things off, but I really do feel like with the form we saw from Deere, he absolutely could make playoffs, definitely, and we could see another upset.
Yeah. Okay, so match 3 we're going to have here, guys, is going to be Dark versus Hero, and this is the big one for me. I love both of these players. Dark has been one of my favorite players ever since like 2015, and Hero, another one of my challenge boys, coming through in first place, didn't have to go to fast lane. I think it's going to be a pretty close matchup, this one.
I'm excited for this one too because it's another Protoss versus Zerg, and it feels like PvZ is the most dynamic matchup for Protoss right now. There's a lot of different ways, different approaches we've seen for Protoss to hold on to that third base, get the Psystorm, whether it's the Dark Templar drop in the Archons, or the Adept drop early into just regular Templar Archive Archons, or some sort of Adept pressure that leads into that third base. There's a lot of different ways we've seen, including Oracle play, Phoenix play, a lot of different strategies for the Protoss right now to hold on to that third base. So hoping to see more styles out of Hero, maybe learn some more about the PvZ matchup.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for that PvZ as well. What are you thinking about predictions? Do you have any idea who this is going to go to?
I think Hero's going to take it. I think he's going to show us something new. He usually prepares really smart builds for this kind of matchup where it's a new meta and people are starting to figure out new ways to play it. So I think he'll probably have the builder advantage here.
I would have to agree with you. I think also it's definitely going to benefit Hero, a guy who he has one build and he plays it really well. Like you said that actually on the cast today, where he really gets in trouble for that at times. But I feel like, you know, in Challenge there was only one Zerg. It was Losira. He played that one best of 3, I think it was, because Losira, I don't think he made it into the second stage, but Hero really hasn't shown too much of his PvZ. I think he was playing against mostly Terrans over at the GSL, and I think that's definitely going to benefit him here. I think he's going to have kind of the mysterious vibe going on.
Yeah, I think he'll probably have a new strategy, or he'll have a perfected version of one of the strategies we've been seeing throughout the past few weeks, so I have to give him the edge.
Yeah. So our fourth match is going to be Alive versus Innovation. I know you were pretty hyped about this one. Innovation is knocking heads together left and right. He did just win Premier Season 1. I assume I don't have to ask you who you think is going to win this one.
I think Innovation's going to win this one really easily. I think he's going to destroy Alive pretty handily, but Alive has really interesting TVT. His inconsistency will probably cause him to lose the series overall, even if he takes a game. But Innovation is just such a fun player to watch right now. that no matter who he's playing against, it's always really a good series. There's always a lot to learn. So I'm always hyped for an innovation series, and this one is no exception.
So the last matchup of the night on Monday next week is going to be Classic versus Maru, and this is definitely going to be a pretty fun one. Maru, he is one of the 4 horsemen of Terran, but he's been having some trouble getting his consistency down over here at SSL, whereas Classic, he was looking pretty good tonight. I really liked his play. Even though he did go down to Biel, he did take the win over Biel.
It looked like he was going to lose because Biel had the answer with the Banelings there, but he ended up winning it with his basically broad determination, pushing through and not giving up in that last fight. But we saw some of the weaknesses of Maru in his TVP matchup against Deere. Feels like he's really trying to force attacks to work, and Proasses are getting better and better at defending in Legacy of the Void. It's always been a trend to Proass in this matchup to play defensively, but we're seeing them defend Widowmine drops a lot better. Hellion aggression, these things are getting scouted early, so I think that Maru will definitely have trouble against Classic.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. I think Classic showed some pretty sick PVT as well in Challenge, and he should take that one. I'd even go with the 2-0. It's kind of weird to say this over Maru, but this is one of those predictions where I kind of reach out on a limb, especially against Maru, but I think Classic's going to take that one 2-0.
Yeah, I think that's probably going to be the case, and Maru might have to change up his playstyle a little bit to make sure that he can actually have flexibility in a best of 3, not kind of pushing himself into only drop play, only aggression, which I think was his weakness in the series against Deere.
So that's going to do it for what we were thinking about the matches next Monday. I hope you do join us on Monday. It is going to start as well at the same time, as always, 7 p.m. with me, Valdes, and Wolf. So that's going to do it for us, guys. We'll see you next time. Good night.